Understanding and implementing eliciting techniques in TEFL. Teaching English as a foreign language, or TEFL, can be both exciting and challenging. One important method that helps students learn more effectively is called eliciting. In this presentation, we'll explore what eliciting is, why it's important, and how you can use it in your classroom. Whether you're a teacher trainee or a new teacher, this guide will help you understand and apply eliciting techniques successfully. 1. Introduction. Eliciting is a teaching method where teachers ask questions or give tasks that encourage students to think and respond. Instead of simply giving information, teachers use eliciting to help students discover answers on their own. This approach makes learning more interactive and engaging. In this presentation, we'll look at different aspects of eliciting and how you can incorporate it into your English classes. 2. What is eliciting? Eliciting involves drawing out ideas, answers, or information from students. Instead of providing all the answers, teachers use questions and activities to guide students toward discovering the answers themselves. This approach makes learning more active and encourages deeper thinking. For instance, instead of explaining the past tense directly, a teacher might ask students to share what they did yesterday. This allows students to naturally practice the past tense, helping them feel more confident as they connect the language to their own experiences. This kind of interaction not only makes the lesson more engaging, but also helps students relate the language to real-life situations. 3. The theory behind eliciting. The principle behind eliciting is that students learn better when they are active participants in the learning process. When students think and respond, they understand and retain information more effectively. Eliciting is rooted in learning theories like constructivism, which emphasizes that learners build their own knowledge through experiences and interactions. Social learning theory also supports this method, highlighting the importance of learning through interaction with others. By involving students in the learning process, eliciting transforms them from passive listeners into active creators of knowledge. This helps them make meaningful connections with the language they're learning. Rather than memorizing rules, students understand how to use language in context, which enhances long-term retention. 4. Key principles of eliciting in the language classroom. Several key ideas support the use of eliciting in teaching. Active learning. Students are actively engaged in the learning process, making lessons more memorable. Example: during a lesson on adjectives, instead of providing a list of descriptive words, ask students to describe an object they can see, such as a picture of a beach. This encourages creativity and participation. Student-centered. The focus is on students and their needs, rather than the teacher simply delivering content. Example: when discussing hobbies, instead of explaining what hobbies are, ask students what they like to do in their free time, making the lesson more relevant to their lives. Interaction. Eliciting fosters interaction between the teacher and students, as well as among students. Example: in a speaking activity, students can ask each other questions about their weekend activities. This not only practices language skills, but also builds social bonds. Discovery. Students discover rules and patterns on their own, which makes their learning more meaningful. Example: when teaching the difference between some and any, give students examples and let them figure out the rule. This discovery process helps them understand how to use each word. 5. The cognitive processes involved in eliciting. Eliciting activates several cognitive processes that support learning. Thinking. Students actively think to come up with answers, engaging more deeply with the material. Memory. Students recall previous knowledge, reinforcing their understanding and retention. Problem solving. Students figure out how to use language correctly, helping them apply their learning to new situations. Understanding. Students connect new information with what they already know, improving comprehension. For example, when students are asked to form sentences using a new grammar rule, they apply what they've learned, deepening their understanding and building confidence. Eliciting also encourages students to ask questions, which demonstrates critical thinking and engagement. 6. Benefits of eliciting in TEFL. Using eliciting techniques offers many advantages. Improves engagement. Students are more involved and interested when they actively participate in the lesson. They enjoy the challenge of thinking and answering questions. Example: instead of listing different animals, show pictures and ask students to name and describe them. This keeps students focused and interested. Enhances understanding. Students grasp concepts better when they discover them independently, rather than being told. Example: when teaching comparatives, instead of explaining the rules, provide examples like, "My car is faster than yours," and "This building is taller than that one." Ask students to identify the pattern themselves. Builds confidence. When students discover answers on their own, they gain confidence in using the language independently. Example: asking students to describe their favorite holiday allows them to use the language they know, boosting their confidence in expressing their ideas. Encourages communication. Eliciting promotes natural speaking and listening practice. Example: in a lesson about daily routines, ask students questions like, "What time do you get up?" or "What do you do after school?" This encourages students to speak in full sentences and practice the present simple tense. Effective eliciting techniques. There are several techniques you can use to elicit information from students. Questions. Ask open-ended questions that require more than just yes or no answers. These questions encourage deeper thinking and help students use more language. Example: instead of asking, "Do you like apples?" ask, "What fruits do you like and why?" This invites students to give longer, more detailed responses. Prompts. Provide hints or partial information to guide students toward the correct answer. Example: start a sentence like, "Yesterday I," and let students complete it. This helps them practice the past tense while providing some support. Visual aids. Use pictures, flashcards, or real objects to stimulate student responses. Example: show a picture of a park and ask, "What can you see in this picture?" This encourages students to practice vocabulary related to nature and places. Games. Incorporate games that require students to use language. Games make learning fun and motivate students to participate. Example: play a vocabulary matching game where students match words to pictures. This reinforces new vocabulary and makes the lesson more engaging. 8. Practical applications in the classroom. Here are a few ways to use eliciting techniques in your English classroom. Warm-up activities. Begin the class with a simple question related to the lesson topic to get students thinking and speaking in English. Example: if the lesson is about weather, ask, "How is the weather today?" This helps set the context for the rest of the lesson. Grammar practice. Encourage students to create sentences using new grammar rules to help them practice and understand how the rule works. Example: after teaching the past tense, ask students to talk about their last weekend. This gives them the chance to use the new grammar in a meaningful context. Vocabulary building. Use pictures or real objects to introduce new words. This makes the lesson more interactive and helps students remember vocabulary more effectively. Example: show different food items and ask students to name them and describe their favorites. This encourages students to use adjectives and practice speaking. Role-playing. Have students act out scenarios to practice speaking. This helps them use language in real-life situations. Example: in a restaurant setting, students can take turns being the waiter and the customer. This allows them to practice phrases such as, "What would you like to eat?" and "I would like a salad, please." 9. Challenges in eliciting and how to overcome them. While eliciting techniques can be very effective, there are some challenges teachers may face. Here are a few common obstacles and how to address them. Shy students. Some students may be hesitant to speak because they are shy or afraid of making mistakes. Solution: create a supportive environment and encourage all students to participate. Use pair or group work to make shy students feel more comfortable speaking. Time constraints. Eliciting activities can sometimes take longer than planned, especially if students need extra support. Solution: plan lessons carefully and allocate specific times for eliciting activities. You can also set time limits for each activity to keep the lesson moving smoothly. Limited language skills. Students with limited vocabulary or grammar knowledge may struggle to express themselves. Solution. Provide vocabulary lists or sentence starters to help students communicate. For example, if students are discussing hobbies, give them phrases like, I like to, or my favorite hobby is, to help them get started. 10 tips for successful implementation of eliciting Gregson. Here are some tips to help you implement eliciting techniques effectively. Be patient. Give students enough time to think and respond. Sometimes students need a moment to process the question and come up with an answer. Be clear. Ensure that your questions and instructions are easy to understand. Use simple language, especially for lower-level students, and rephrase questions if necessary. Encourage participation. Praise students for their efforts and encourage everyone to participate, even if their answers are not completely correct. Positive feedback helps build their confidence. Adapt to your students. Tailor your eliciting techniques to the level and interests of your students. For younger learners, use more visual aids and games. For adult learners, focus on topics relevant to their lives, such as work or travel. Use a variety of techniques. Combine different eliciting methods to keep lessons interesting and accommodate various learning styles. Some students respond better to visual aids, while others may prefer answering questions or participating in discussions. 11. Conclusion. Eliciting is a powerful tool in TEFL that makes learning English interactive and effective. By asking the right questions and using engaging activities, you help students discover and use language independently. This not only improves their language skills, but also builds their confidence and enjoyment in learning English. As a teacher trainee or new teacher, incorporating eliciting techniques into your lessons can make a significant difference in your students' learning experience. Start using these methods today and watch your classroom come alive with active, enthusiastic learners.